What's up, Nailistas? We are back with another nail video, and in today's video, we are going to be doing some acrylic nails, and also some airbrush design. So, y'all know the aura nails that have been going around. I decided to give them a try, and they're actually very easily done with the method that I will be doing today. So, this is my hand model that I'm working on, and she loves her acrylic. Some people are more prone to your nails lifting. So my goal for her is to do a fill in her without any lifting. Like her nails just come off. And there are some people that are just prone to that. Also in this video, we're gonna be going over just like intermediate stuff. So this isn't a beginner video, but if you are a beginner, make sure you stay tuned because I'm going to be going into some stuff. So this is like the tell-all of, nail ins, outs, appointments, all of that. So as y'all are watching me prep her nails, I'm going to be getting into it. So she's prone to lifting, and some people that just have naturally sweaty hands, I noticed that their nail plates just holds and harbor moisture. So there are just some people that, you know, hey, it is what it is. Um, but however, I'm still trying to find a resolution to that. So one thing you can do if you notice that you're just, prone to your nails popping off, you can try other products. You can try getting your nails done more frequently and try not to bite your nails off, not to pop your nails off, not to bite them off, because that makes your nail plate more prone to them popping off in the future. And it is very, very true because you're lifting up layers of that nail plate. Okay, so a question that is often asked to a lot of different nail techs is, how do I make my time shorter? How do I not spend so much time, um, on one given client? And it's just practice. You really, really gotta just do it every day. Even if you just have practice hands, and you don't have actual clients that you can work on, make sure you're whipping out those practice hands and time yourself. Like, get out a stop clock or keep time on a clock in front of you, a stopwatch or something, and time yourself. Say, tell yourself ahead of time, I give myself 15 minutes for prep. I give myself 30 minutes to do both hands laying acrylic. That better be for short nails, I'm telling you. Because realistically, you got to set yourself realistic expectations. Um, time yourself to see where you're at with your whole acrylic application. Time yourself to see, where you're at with prep. And the prep is the steps that you take all the way up until you're about to lay that acrylic. So the last thing you want to do in prep is, like, say you're adding false tips. We're doing an acrylic set, you're adding false tips. Um, Once you foul over those tips and you've dehydrated and added your primer, now you're ready. That's transitioning into the next step. So, right here, what I am doing, I'm removing the shine off of her nail plate, making sure I got all those, loose skin, dead skin, those hangies. That's what I call them, hangies. And I am going in with a, what is it, a 220 bit? It's a very smooth bit. It's safe to go over the nails, and I'm not applying pressure. I'm just removing that shine, and I'm also using it to remove any excess cuticle eponychium, cuticle skin. I'm not going to use technical terms just in case if there are nail enthusiasts watching. So this is for educational purposes. Okay. So if you are, say you're not necessarily a beginner, but you're not proficient, that's intermediate. So I like to think that I'm intermediate. I'm not a beginner because I've been doing it for a few years now, but I am intermediate, and I know that there are things that I can work on. Okay. So some things too is just knowing where your stuff is, being organized. If you don't have a desk that's big enough to sit everything out beforehand, like me, my workstation is fairly, the desk itself is fairly small. However, I am in a room where I know where everything is. Um, just have a good knowledge of where stuff is. If you have to get up and get something, that shouldn't take no 5 minutes. It's as quick as 30 seconds. Have stuff within reach. Set your desk and your room up so that you can reach for stuff. Now, if you do have a desk that's big enough, okay, sit everything out. My only thing with sitting stuff out though, because I hear other nail techs say that, like sit everything out beforehand. Yeah, that's cool and all, but stuff can fall. And once something hit the floor, you got to clean it. You can't use that. Dust. If I'm filing, I don't want, their nail tips and stuff to get dust on them. You might not know what size tips. So just have everything in arm's reach, okay? To cut out the amount of time that you're getting up and looking for things. Another good idea that I'm borrowing from someone else, but I would do this too, is if you have an appointment with someone, ask them ahead of time what kind of design or what, so you can anticipate what you're going to be doing and how long that's going to take. Um, have them send you an inspo pic so you can have that picture up while you're doing the prep. You're anticipating what design and you're thinking about, okay, I got glitter in this drawer, I got milers in this drawer, I got these colors here on the shelf. So just be anticipating what you're going to be doing. I noticed that helped with my time tremendously. I just did a dip set and soak off in an hour and 30 minutes, no cap. And back in the day, it would have taken me like 2.5 hours. So I cut my time down in half. And then also, if you are a professional nail tech and you actually, are new or intermediate, try working in a salon so you can see the ebb and flow of how things run in a salon. Okay. So I am using my shears because these tips were so long and I didn't want to have to try to get them through the little hole of the nail, the tip nippers. I just use my shears and they're very sharp. And I use my shears just to cut the nails down. Some people like it like this. Some people like to use the nippers. Either way, but I feel like this would have been faster for me, so I'm using the shears. So those are some things to cut down on time. I notice too, like when I get too vested in conversations with people, it slows me down. But some people don't mind that if you can. Like if you're not like a commission worker and you can govern your own self and your own time, that's great because that plays a part in to being a great nail tech and delivering that awesome customer service, right? But just be mindful that you gotta keep moving. As a nail tech, you gotta keep moving. You just have to keep moving. There shouldn't be any moments where your brush or your hands isn't working on their hands. So just keep that in mind. Keep moving. Stay moving. When you're working, another thing to help with your time is when you're working, anticipate the next phase. And it comes with time. It really does with that repetition of, okay, I know I'm supposed to do this, then this, then this. I know I'm supposed to prep the nail, then after that, glue the tips on, and after that, go over it with the file to blend it. And after that, I'm going to be getting the acrylic. So you want to anticipate the next step in your mind. And that's why it was hard for me just last year. It was hard for me to hold a conversation um, and do nails um, because I was in my head thinking about the next step. So they're not just sitting there waiting. Because I had those moments where I was just sitting there like, okay, what do I do next? Especially with pedicures. Oh my goodness. It was just like, okay, what do I do next? Because I was trying to make sure I did it in order. But there are some things you can move around. And also, too, you can tailor your service to that client. Every customer isn't going to be just the absolute same. So here what I'm doing, I got an 80/80 grit file because we are fouling plastic tips. And for it to go by a little quicker, because I am making that coffin shape. Um, I'm using this very abrasive file so it can go by a little quicker. Okay, that's another thing that can help with time. So let's see. We are just filing those nails and getting that shape. I don't cut the tips because I tend to cut too much when I'm just trying to do a taper square or a coffin even. Sometimes I'll just take the file and just file it into shape. So these are square, but they're a little coffin. They come in a little bit. I noticed with acrylic nails, it's best to have that tip come in a little bit so your nails don't just look like chiclets, and it makes the nail bed look way bigger. So that is a little tip that I've learned from, just looking and studying my pictures and seeing things that um I'm like, okay, what can I have done? What could I have done to make this set look better? I stay looking at my pictures, my work, not nobody else's, but mine's. I mean, I do look at inspo pics and stuff like that and, ideas, but I stay studying my work to help me improve. Um, if there was a corner that was overfouled, or if there was, any discrepancy with that customer, I'm always finding ways to make myself better. Not meaning that I'm horrible. It's just we all can improve. You know what I'm saying? So I am out of frame a little bit, but I will get back in frame. Don't worry about that if y'all see me out of frame. I will get back in frame. Yes, I will be talking throughout the entirety of this video. If you don't like it, hey, there's a couple things you can do. You can mute your TV. You can just not watch. So there's a couple different things you can do if you don't like the sound of my voice. So now we are using our dehydrator. You want to absolutely dehydrate the nail. You don't want any moisture in that nail. You want to make sure the nail looks ashy white. That's how you know the dehydrator has worked. Then after that, you also want to go in with your primer. You want to make sure the nail plate is clean and free of any debris as well. So this will also help prevent any lifting that should occur. All right. Now we're going to go in with our color. And I have some things to say about this here color, but I'll be right back. I'm going to let y'all go ahead and watch this. discrepancy with this particular acrylic brand is the fact that it comes out slushy. Like, we're going to take a look here. So I'm laying the bead, right? And it just comes out slushy at first. That's my only discrepancy with this brand. And this brand is the Rainbow Collection by Model Ones or Model Loans, however you say it. I ordered it off of their website a while back, and because I saw the promotions and stuff for it, and I was like, oh, I want to try it. It was when I first started out, so it's been a couple years since I've purchased this particular brand. And I did have their mini um, rainbow collection that I got off of Amazon to try it out, and I liked it. I liked the mini. But see, the thing of it is, as time went on and I tried other brands, it became one of my least favorites. So it is good. It wears good. It's even good to do 3D flowers with. It's just that first bead, for whatever reason, comes out slushy. And sometimes I have to fight to get it off the brush. Y'all see my napkin there. I hate that. That means that I'm wasting product. And I don't like to waste product. Sometimes you just can't help but it shouldn't, your napkin shouldn't look like that. Okay, that bead should bounce right onto the nail and off your brush. And it's not the monomer, because I even used Model One's monomer, and I've tried every monomer just about with it. And no matter what monomer I use, it just comes out slushy. Comment below and let me know if you use this brand and if you have the same struggle with this brand. Other than that, I like Model Ones. It's just that initial bead, whenever you dip your brush into the polymer, it just comes out kind of slushy, and it's not easy to work with as some of the other brands. So another question that I get from a lot of newbies is what brands to use. And we're going to use me as an example. So I bought this brand, what? It was either in 2021. Yeah, it was 2021, because it wasn't last year, I don't believe. I'm not no, it was 2021. Um and at first I liked it because I hadn't tried Young Nails. I hadn't tried Not Polish or even D&D at that point. And those are like some of my favorite brands. So I didn't have anything to compare it to. And I think that's why people ask that question, just to save them some time and money from buying stuff that they don't like. But ultimately, because each nail tech is different, ultimately you have to try different brands in order to know what works best with what you're, willing to do. So I can't tell you, to buy Not Polish or to buy Chisel. You know, you just kind of have to just get one jar and try it. And if it's anything like Glam and Glitz, there's some differences between the jars and the pigments. Your black isn't going to work with Glam and Glitz. Your black isn't going to work as well as some of your lighter pigmented colors, because the pigments change the way, the polymer, which is the powder, interacts with the monomer, which is the liquid. So the ultimate honest answer is, you have to just try it and see how it works for you, how well it does for you, you know. So I'm doing the other hand, and that's another thing that I like to do. I learned this in school the second time around. Um, don't prep and prime both hands, because 9 times out of 10, your clients are going to be doing something with their other hand, whether it's texting on their phone or scratching or relaxing, whatever. And now that hand is not primed its best. So to just ensure that their nails is going to stay on both hands, I wait right before, right up until I'm about to lay that acrylic, to prep and prime that hand. So we did the first hand, and then we start laying the acrylic. Y'all just see me do the second hand. Now we're laying the acrylic. Another tip that I learned in school, and I don't mind sharing this stuff, because you're going to go to school and learn so much more than what I'm telling you. You're not going to be a certified nail tech just from listening to YouTubers, okay? So for the people out there getting mad because we're sharing things and we're giving insight into, what works for us, you know, it's to help people. It's not to hurt anyone else's pockets. So I've gotten a lot of hate for, sharing the things that I know and sharing my journey, but I don't let that deter me. I don't get a check from YouTube either. So, you know, that doesn't make me any less credible. Actually, I trust the people with smaller followings than I do people with big followings and have, ambassadors and stuff behind them, because nine times out of 10, they're getting paid to say what they're saying. I'm not. I'm not getting any consolation for telling you what I'm telling you. Um, so, you know, people say the game is to be sold, not to be told. Okay, nails are to be sold. You know what I'm saying? Like helping someone out, you know, I just don't get the mindset of that. And it's not everybody, not every nail tech thinks that way, but there are some greedy ones that think they're at the top that, give people hate for holding design classes and doing different, things to help other people. I mainly do this for myself and anybody else that find it helpful. Cool, good, great. I'm happy you found my content helpful to you. But stop saying that nail school don't teach you anything, because it clearly does. It taught me a lot. If you didn't go into that school already knowing about disinfection and different nail diseases and about the nail anatomy and all of that, then kudos to you. You're not the average person going to get a nail tech license. The average person don't know all of this stuff. The average person don't know about links and chains and things like that. If you want to know what links and chains are, go to nail school. They'll teach you that. They'll teach you about the chemistry of the products that you're using and the difference between them. And why does gel polish have to be cured and acrylic doesn't? So we're not telling all of that. Okay. What we're doing is telling the process and giving some hints and clues to not only other nail techs, but to our clients that can benefit from the things that we're saying. Okay? So stop. If you're one of those bigger channels or bigger platforms and you beside yourself just because you did a couple of B-list celebrity nails, don't humble yourself. Don't be that way. Because a lot of the knowledge that I've absorbed, yes, I learned from some of my favorite YouTubers and I shout them out all the time here on my channel. And sometimes the love is reciprocated, other times it's not, and that's okay. I don't care about that. But for those bigger platforms that I have interacted with and you commented back or you answered a DM or you came and liked some of my content because I tagged you in something that I was inspired by, I appreciate that. From nail tech to nail tech. And if it wasn't for some of y'all, posting y'all work, I probably would not have gotten my license. So I thank y'all. There are people like me that appreciate that, and that rant is over. So we're still going on and doing the nails. Okay. Don't get discouraged. Acrylic took me a long time to get. Do not get discouraged. If you really want to learn acrylic and master it, do not get discouraged. Now, there are some talented people out there that just have a natural gift for sculpting. You're taking mush and sculpting a nail. Okay. Please understand that. Don't beat yourself up if you're not the best at sculpting with acrylic. I know what most people do. They take the chicken door out. They'll go and just say, I only do Gel X or I only do whatever, some type of gel product. I only do hard gel. And that's fine too, because the monomer does bother a lot of people. But if you really, really want to hone in on your skill of learning acrylic, you gotta practice. There's no way around it. You just have to practice. Find a good primer. And me and some other great nail techs that I watch, we love me a secret. I don't care. Yeah, I use Model 1s on my hand model here, but I'm using Mia Secret's primer and dehydrator. Now, what you don't want to do is mix your dehydrator and your primer. You want to use the same dehydrator and primer line. So, Mia Secret dehydrator, Mia Secret primer. I live by this stuff. I don't always use Mia's Secret acrylic. I love that acrylic line. Love it. It's, mid-range price. You get a lot for what you pay for. Um, but their primer and dehydrator, that formula is just bomb because it works. So that's I swear by it. Okay. I can even use not polish and I'll use Mia's Secret primer and dehydrator. And I know the nails are going. I have not had a problem with lifting since I've discovered Mia's Secret's primer and dehydrator. So uh there's a clue. There's a golden gem. For those of y'all that made it this far in the video, Mia's Secret dehydrator and primer. Um I even bought some for a coworker of mine that, is still working on their acrylic skills. And they told me that they had a problem with lifting. And I said, you know what? I stand behind this so much, I'm going to buy it for you. I'm going to get you your first bottle of primer and dehydrator, and you're going to love it. You're going to love it because I do. And ever since I started that and I learned how to properly prep the nail plate for acrylic application, I haven't had a problem with lifting other than my lovely client here. And she is young. She's actually a teenager. She just turned a teenager. So her nails are full of nutrients and vitamins. She's healthy. And sometimes with younger people, even polish peel off of them for whatever reason. And it's just something in the makeup of the nail. That's just says to me that her nails are healthy. And her nails are probably rejecting uh the acrylic and stuff because A, she doesn't get them done all the time. And B, she has all the moisture in the world in her nails, which is a good thing. Because the nails are made of keratin, which is the same mineral that's in our hair. It's the same stuff. So, um, yeah, it's not like she needs these nails to last months and months and months. No. And she has me. Okay. She has me in her life. So I'll keep her nails looking good no matter if she decides to just wear her natural nails and we grow those out for her, or if she wants to continue with acrylic, but she loves her acrylic. So, but our goal is for her is to make sure that we aren't biting our nails off. I told her I would like to do a fill on her in a couple weeks, and I want all 10 fingers to still be intact. So that way she could just get a feel. Because normally by the time she comes back to me, all her nails are off. That signifies to me that she's biting them off. Which young people do, and a lot of older people too. They bite their nails off. Once one break, they just get to biting them all off. Like I can't. Which I get it because I used to do the same thing. Now I went back to some of these nails and went over them. In case you're wondering, I went back to the right hand, and I always start with the pinky just because that's nature of habit. That's what they taught us in school. The school that I attended is to start with the pinky of the is I think it was the pinky of the left hand, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what the Milady's standard book says for the acrylic unit. But I don't see the significance in what hand, but I do see why they want us to start with the pinky. Okay. First of all, it's the smallest nail, so if something goes wrong, it's the easiest to fix. And it's the outermost nail, so you ain't bumping nothing. If you start with the thumb, you have a chance of bumping that thumb still, or the finger bumping that thumb. So if you start with the pinky's down, it's kind of out the way. That's how I look at it. Anything could happen really, but I know some people that start with the middle finger. Literally, I've seen it on YouTube. People, I'm like, wow, that's different. They start with the middle finger. Oh, I know what I'm doing. Actually, can't really see because everything looks pink. I am actually encapsulating these nails because Model 1's is so slushy. I want these to have strength. So your strongest acrylic powder is going to be clear because it's not cut with any pigment. So to ensure that these nails do not break on her because of the slushy ratio. And you can grab a dry bead and it'll still be like that. You can grab a medium bead and it's slushy. You could grab a wet bead and it's just mushy, mushy. So it's not my ratio. Before y'all come in my comments saying, oh, it's your ratio. No, it's the formula of Model 1s. Trust me. Try it. I can't make this stuff up. However, I like it though. It's the best acrylic to do ombre with because it's so easy to mix two colors with this brand. However, I'm not going to just use just the color acrylic. I'm going to encapsulate that thing with some clear. And the clear, I am using me a secret because I don't have any more clear Model 1s. And it shouldn't irritate the skin or bother her. I know there's certain things they tell us not to do, which is mix products. However, we do it, you know. I'm not mixing her primer and dehydrator. No, I use that through and through. And I am using Mia Secret's monomer and Mia Secret clear. So those are four Mia Secret items that I'm using. Okay? The only difference is the pigment. That's a different brand, which is Model 1s. So, and a lot of your monomers anymore are universal. So, if you're using a non MMA monomer, which y'all should know though what that is. If you don't, comment below and I'll be more than happy to tell you. I'm not going to get into that. But a lot of your EMA liquids are going to be universal. Okay. There are some monomers that are sold as universal monomers, meaning you can use them with any acrylic line just about. So for those anal people out there that like to comment and say things under my videos like, oh, you shouldn't mix stuff. You know, you're not supposed to do that. Mm. Well, if I don't say anything, I've seen it in salons where they take an empty, not polished bottle. I'm not gonna say who or where I've seen this, but just in certain salons. This was before I was a nail tech too. I didn't think anything of it, but I've seen them take like, their regular nail supply store, whatever they selling, the cheapest stuff they selling in there, brand monomer and pour it into a Mia Secret or a, not polished bottle. I've seen that. I've seen it since I become a nail tech. You know, would I do that? Hell no. I always just buy more of whatever I'm out of. But there's a lot of fake it till you make it's out there. So please do not think you can save the world or fix the world on my channel. Okay. All right. So these are just some tips and things that, I feel like for intermediate nail techs that it'll help you go a long way. Um, Stay tuned for part 2 of this because I wanted to make the design a separate video. This video is already long enough. So make sure you stay tuned for part 2 where you see how I did her aura nails because there's more than one way that you can do aura nails, okay? Excuse me, I had to cough. So now we are at the filing. And I'm using that same 80/80 grit file, which means it's the same grit on both sides. Now, if you're using a 100/180 grit file or 100/120 or whatever, you know that one side is a different grit. And I've seen this on a lot of, content where people are using it like it's the same grit on both sides. And no, one side ain't getting fouled as much as the other if you're using both sides of that file. So if you want to use both sides of that file, it needs to be a 100/100, an 80/80, or whatever, 200/200, whatever you use. It needs to be the same grit on both sides if you're going to use them interchangeably. Otherwise, you need to flip your file. I'm not saying you can't use a 100/180 grit, but whatever side you're filing on, it needs to stay on that side. So you have to just simply flip your file to that side. I hope that makes sense. So these are square. These are tapered square. So we are turning the hand now to the client's view towards me. So the palm needs to be facing the ceiling. This is the best way to file nails because you're seeing, as the nail tech, you're seeing what the client is seeing. So you can get any inconsistencies. I love it. I started doing this even more once I realized how great the nails look 360 round. So that's just something small like that can make all the difference in your sets, in your work, especially when you're doing enhancements. You want to make sure they look good, even at the bottom, from the side, the top, every view. So, as a nail tech, while you're doing nails, and I know when you're trying to get your times down, you're like, oh, I don't want it to take forever. Trust me, your clients are going to appreciate their nails looking good from every angle versus you just rushing and doing whatever. Okay. So now we are taking a fine carbide bit, and I'm not going really fast because I am going to be going underneath the nail, as you can see there, and around the cuticles with this. And we're just getting those cuticles sealed. I like a nice flush cuticle. However, I still like an apex. I cannot stand seeing bulky nails that, bulge out at the cuticle, because if that nail was to break, it would probably take their whole nail, their natural nail, their real nail with it. That's and it just doesn't look natural anymore to me. At first I was like, oh, I like the big Cadillacs and Hummers on my nails. No, that's just a waste of product. That's way too much product. So flush nails at the cuticle with a nice apex. You want the tips as thin as a credit card. You don't want the tips so thick unless they request it, but you don't want the tips so thick that they can't scratch, they can't pick up a coin. They're not usable. They're not, they can't maintain normal life with it. So if they want to say, hey, I want my nails a little thicker, can you make them a little thicker? Sure. But that should be, as a nail tech to nail tech, that should be an extra charge too. If you don't normally do nails that thick, because think about it, you're using more product. So it should be more money that you earn. And it's also more work. But we're going underneath that nail just to make sure we still have that nice C curve to these nails underneath, and to make sure that there is no extra acrylic that may have slid underneath when we were breaking it off and things like that. Nothing that will snag onto the nails, just making sure they're nice and clean through and through. And that's another reason why I like to put clear on top of just solid colors like this, just to ensure that I can do my optimal amount of fouling without stripping that color off the nail. Okay. So now, after you use a carbide bit too, you really sometimes don't even have to buff. I still like to, just for my mental sake, because I know that's another step. But this carbide bit is so smooth. It gets the nail so smooth, especially if you're not digging into that acrylic, that you can probably get away with little to none buffing after this. So we're just going over the nail, sealing that cuticle, um, sealing that product at the cuticle. I do this with gel. I do this with any enhancement, even with Gel X nails, which I want to do that video for y'all next, because I have mastered my Gel X skills. Even with Gel X nails, you're supposed to be sealing at the cuticle, even though it's a full coverage tip. It's a gel tip, so it's not going to be just super flush and tailored to your nail. Okay. So we're just going over this and making sure everything is clean. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that bell post notification so you will be notified every time I drop a video, every time I go live, which I was live earlier today. Today is October 11th. So I was live earlier today, just kind of doing my spooky series of nails. The nails turned out really great. I went all out for those nails, actually, because I could have just did what I did with gel polish, but instead I did it with acrylic. So go check that out if you have not, and make sure y'all stay tuned for part 2. I will be editing and dropping that so y'all can see how I designed this here particular set. All right. Thank y'all so much for clicking on this video. I hope that the advice that I'm giving is helpful to someone out there. And just remember, we're all in this together. There is enough hands and feet out here for everybody to eat. Okay. We don't have to harbor and gatekeep information and things like that, because I'm thankful for the people that didn't gatekeep, because they inspired me and pushed me to go to school. And here I am doing what I love to do every single day. So thank you so much. And I'm going to let y'all watch this until it play out. And I'll join y'all at the second video. Have a good night, good morning, good evening, time it is where you're at. And peace till the next video.